Madam Speaker, I rise in support of millions of our nation's teachers who fight for our children's future every single day.
A big movement in America today across the country to pay teachers more.
And investing in America's future.
Making sure that we get our best teachers into the most high-need schools.
To make sure kids have access to diverse, quality teachers.
You know, teaching is a cultural activity.
We're here for America's public school teachers.
Ask anyone on the street and they will say that teachers are important or essential to American life. Doubt this? Don't worry. We checked.
School is responsible for where a lot of students are able to explore their passions.
I can remember just about all of my teachers, and that's true in college and grad school too. So, outside of family, they have some of the most influence on me over time.
I'm definitely where I am, and I've gotten where I am because of my teachers.
Teachers have meant a whole lot to me over the course of my life.
When taking into account the fact that much of the guidance and education given to younger generations comes from teachers, they can arguably be considered as the foundation of this country. But while the American public clearly grades teachers with an A+, this is not always seen. Instead, teachers do not often receive comparable pay or conditions to their quality of education or their importance in American society.
Maryland just instituted a wage increase for teachers. It was about 3%, and we're looking at funding teachers more in subsequent years. The news reports that I saw indicated that, and I believe I'm thinking of Oklahoma now, it just sounded like teachers were not paid enough for what they do. So teacher pay is critical, and if teachers don't feel respected and if they don't feel valued, that will show through at schools. Teachers do an incredible job under a range of circumstances, and so I really salute them for what they do, and they should get paid what they deserve.
Well, people who are working extremely hard. It's hard to think of people who are doing any more important work than teachers are. They don't get a lot of support. They don't make a lot of money, and they spend a lot of their money buying supplies for their own students.
There should be more funding allocated to education on the federal level, only because when you look at the state and local levels, that's where most of the educational funding comes from, and because of that, and because of the way that states and cities have chosen to fund education, it is so inequitable based on socioeconomic lines.
As a result, teachers have formed unions, coalitions that have historically advocated for increased pay and social justice in the face of racism and sexism. As stated by the Washington Post, there has been a, quote, resurgence in teacher activism, end quote, in the past decade. Teacher unions have prevailed, with more strikes occurring in recent years.
I mean, for one thing, in terms of what the strikes say about our democracy, civil disobedience and strike action and engaging in forms of protest is a hallmark of a healthy democracy. It means that that's how we keep our democracy thriving, is by having those checks and balances and having a government that's responsible to its constituents. And I think whether it's at the local, state, or federal level, the government needs to respond to the needs of its citizens. In this case, it's teachers who are saying, we're doing a public service, we're part of the sort of general fabric of society. We deserve to be recognized for that.
Despite there being numerous urgent issues involved in education policy, it is yet to be a focus in the 2020 election.
At least watching the first 2 double rounds of debates, I didn't actually feel like K through 12 got as much attention as I thought it would.
There should be a town hall on educational policy. One of the questions I would ask is, so since so many states and particularly localities and school districts fund education through property taxes, what would you propose would be a different way of funding education and then how would you implement that new way at the federal level?
And there's certainly when you're running for president, when you're running for just about any position, governor or legislator, you'll get a lot of issues. And education is always one of the top one. And of course, all those issues rely on an educated public to understand and help solve. And education plays a role in that, and teachers are the most important asset.
Ultimately, due to the increase in teacher activism in recent years and the prevailing importance of teachers in American society, we hope that teacher pay and other educational policies will be addressed further in the 2020 election.
Teachers shape young people, and young people are the future, so teachers are such an essential part of like the long-term well-being of our society.